Welcome back to the Baseball Show on WCRX. I am Corey Stolzenbach. Not many people can say they have donned a Major League uniform in their lifetime. Of those who have had the privilege in playing in the show, even fewer can say they have had a career as legendary as our guest today. He was a 9-time All-Star who won 224 games between 1955 and 1971. He would go on to become a very dominant right-hander for the Tigers the first 9 seasons of his career, leading the American League in wins in 1957 and strikeouts in 1959 and 1960. In 1958, he tossed a no-hitter 3 years to the day of his big league debut. He would spend 2 stints in Philadelphia, where he threw a perfect game on Father's Day in 1964 and led the National League in strikeouts in 1967, when he finished runner-up to Mike McCormick in the NL Cy Young voting. He spent the end of the 1960s with the Pirates and Dodgers before returning to Philadelphia in 1970. When he retired, only the great Walter Johnson had more strikeouts than he did, and the Veterans Committee elected him to the Hall of Fame as part of the class of 1996. From 1987 to 1999, he represented Kentucky in the U.S. House of Representatives before being his home state's junior senator from 1999 to 2011. He and I also have something in common. His birthday is October 23rd. My birthday is October 23rd. Ladies and gentlemen, it is with great honor to welcome the legendary Jim Bunning onto the Baseball Show on WCRX. Hello, Jim.
Hey, hello.
All right, Jim, first question. You come up that season, July 20th, 1955. What was the most exciting part about being up that year? The Tigers, they had their first winning record since 1950. Al Kaline, 20 years old, wins the batting title in the American League. What was the most exciting part about being up that season in your eyes?
Well, just the fact that I got called up from Buffalo in July, and I was 22 years old at the time, and I had an 82-year-old manager. So I remember it very well. Bucky Harris was my manager, and he decided that I wasn't a starter, but I was a reliever. And so I went to the bullpen and pitched out of the bullpen, and not too well, and I got a few starts, but just being in the big leagues and walking into Tiger Stadium the first time for a real ball game was the most exciting thing that happened to me in my lifetime.
Yeah, you spent quite a bit of time in your career in the bullpen. You had 16 career saves throughout your big league career. What did you think about pitching in relief?
I loved it. Especially after I got to start, I loved going down in my middle. You know, we were on a 4-man rotation at the time, and on the second day after I pitched, I would always wait until the 7th, 8th, or 9th inning to throw in the bullpen. And that was just in case my manager wanted to use me for 1 or 2 innings or 1 or 2 outs.
3 years to the day after you were called up to the big leagues, you no-hit the Red Sox. How special was that no-hitter to you?
Well, they had some pretty good hitters. They had 2 guys on that team that won the American League batting title, Pete Runnels and a guy by the name of Williams, first name Ted. It was the only time I can believe that I got Ted Williams out 4 times in one game without him getting a hit. And he hit the nicest, softest fly balls on high inside sliders, and Kaline caught all of them.
Yeah, Kaline was one heck of a right fielder. The very next year, you faced the Red Sox again. You're facing, in relief, Sammy White, Jim Mahoney, Ike DeLocke. You strike out those 3 batters on 9 pitches. What do you remember about that immaculate inning?
You know what? I didn't think it was a big deal at the time. I didn't realize that, that I had thrown 9 strikes and I had got 3 guys out. And it just happened without pre-thought or anything, except that I wanted to go through the inning as quickly as possible.
You're listening to The Baseball Show on WCRX 88.1 FM and WCRXFM.com. I'm Corey Stolzenbach talking to Hall of Famer Jim Bunning. Jim, in most years, the 1961 Tigers will be a World Series winner. They won 101 games, but that Yankee team was just so good. And unfortunately for you, you had your struggles, 7.8 at ERA. The Yankees hit 292 off of you. What was the toughest part about facing the Yankees that season?
Well, they just didn't have any holes in their lineup. I can remember their lineup clearly. Richardson, Kubek, Maris, Mantle, Berra, Skowron, whoever they put in left field. It usually was Blanchard or Berra would play left field and Blanchard would catch, because Casey wanted to get as many left-handers in the lineup as he could every time I pitched. Richardson was the only right-handed hitter I faced except for the pitcher. So it was a tough out, and they had great pitching. And if they didn't get really good pitching out of their starters, they had a reliever that won 15 games and saved 20 that year.
You were traded to the Phillies December 5th, 1963. Then on June 21st, 1964, you're facing the Mets on Thursday. First year at Shea Stadium. You toss a perfect game. I don't know, were you calm because you had thrown a no-hitter before? Were you nervous because it was a perfect game? How would you describe your state of mind as that game was progressing?
Well, you have to go back 3 weeks from that date, because I started a game in Philadelphia against the Houston Colt 45s at the time, and I had a no-hitter, not a perfect game, but a no-hitter going into the 8th inning, and I blew it. Everybody on the bench kept the tradition of being quiet, and nobody talked about it and all that, and I lost that game in the 8th and 9th inning. So when I got to the Shea Stadium about 3 weeks later, I said, if I ever get into a game like that again, I'm going to talk about it as it's happening. So as that game developed in Shea, the perfect game, I talked about it from the 5th inning on about, hey, guys, we got a no-hitter, we got a perfect game, so if the ball's close, dive at it. You know, we're in one of those games that's highly unusual.
I guess that goes to show you how different the game is today, because I think a lot of times what happens in the dugout now, if a pitcher has a no-hitter going or a perfect game, I think his teammates shun him or don't say much to him. So I guess it was different in your day.
Well, no, it was the same, but I wasn't going to, after having all that quiet in the first no-hitter, nobody said a word to me in Boston. And then I get close in Philly against the Houston team and blow it because of all the quietness. And I said, if I ever get into a game like that again, I'm just going to talk about it during the game. And that kind of shocked all my teammates. But it was better for me. And I hope it relaxed my teammates.
Well, that's good. I know that Dave Stieb had many one-hitters with the Blue Jays before he finally got his no-no. And so the fact that you pitched well against Houston, didn't get what you wanted, then you finally got that perfect game, very happy for you. The Phillies had a great season in '64. Unfortunately, though, there was the fold. You guys are up 6.5 games, 12 games to go. Unfortunately, that 10-game losing streak happens. And Gene Mauch, he started you and the late Chris Short 7 of those 10 games. What were you thinking during that time as he was sending you to the hill all those times at all those games?
Well, there was a reason. Art Mahaffey would have taken the ball, but every time Mock put the ball in somebody else's locker other than Chardy and myself and Mahaffey, it got returned to the manager and got placed in our locker. So it wasn't necessarily Mock's mistakes that we blew that thing. We didn't play well for 10 games, and we picked the wrong 10 not to play well. If we'd have done it early in the season, we could have overcome it. But when you do it 10 of the last 12 games, you don't get a chance to overcome it.
And I'm very sorry that that happened to you. I think that you definitely deserve better. You had a great season that year, and it's unfortunate that happened. I wrote a letter not too long ago to your first baseman from that team, John Hernstein. He responded back saying that many Philly fans never forgave the team for what happened during that season. How would you say personally that Philadelphia fans treated you after what happened?
I was never treated better by any set of fans than I was the Philly fans when I played there. They still treat me great. When I go back for alumni weekend or something, in fact, they're honoring me on the 15th of June this year, Father's Day, 50th anniversary of the perfect game.
As they should. It was a remarkable achievement, and that's something for you to look forward to, and I'm happy for you. I guess with you being treated so well, that's why you picked the Phillies over the Tigers on your Hall of Fame plaque to wear as the cap for you to go into for the Hall of Fame?
I picked the Phillies because the Phillies always invited me back to Philadelphia as an alumni. I have never been back to Philly or to Detroit except one time. Well, excuse me, two. I was invited back for the closing of Tiger Stadium, and I paid my own way to Al Kaline's Day when they honored him in Detroit. So the Tigers, once they traded me, forgot I played for them, and the Phillies never did.
Understandable. There's another person who was teammates with you on that 64 Philadelphia team, and quite a few people think that he should be in the Hall of Fame with you. Dick Allen. What is your thoughts on Dick Allen's Hall of Fame case, if he should be in or not?
Well, I've never really looked at it. I know one thing. He played as a Hall of Famer when I played with him for 4 years. I don't know what his overall stats are in comparison to other. He didn't play many. How many years did he play?
I want to say he played 14, 15 seasons in the big leagues, somewhere around there.
I didn't realize that. I thought he played only about 11. Well, you just have to look at the final stats. How many home runs, how many RBIs, what was his major league batting average? That's the way you get elected. I don't have anything to do with that anymore, except for the Veterans Committee.
Last question before we go. I want to know, how do you think the Phillies are going to do this season?
Well, if their pitching holds up, they will be in contention and make the playoffs. And who knows what happens if you're in the playoffs. You can always be in the World Series.
Jim Bunning, thank you so much for your time. Pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for joining us on the Baseball Show on WCRX. That's all the time we have for this week. Our guest next week is 1949 American League Rookie of the Year, Roy Sievers. I'm Corey Stolzenbach. Take care.